Cocksucker.
Cocksucker.
Got to get it out of the way quickly so that...
Should just rename the podcast. That way it would be huge on YouTube.
Huge on YouTube.
Is this made for kids?
No, it is not at all.
Yeah. Well, in this way, we'll get a text with the live listen along when the pod comes out.
Yeah.
From our favorite person who likes to text us with a little listen along of like, here's what I'm hearing. And be like, well, you didn't make it 1 second without hitting cocksucker.
No, we did not. I thought it was funny that she. I'm sorry. I just implied it was a woman. It is. We'll pretend not. That they were talking about how like we were being very kind about certain things about the high school musical things and this, that, and the other thing, and was very grateful. And then just Jesus Christ, just got to the cocksucker. Just like. Yeah.
I think we cussed way before that, though.
Of course we did, but we didn't drop a cocksucker until about 40 minutes in, and it had to be sung. So,
well, we like it to happen naturally.
Yeah,
and a lot of times it happens naturally right off the bat.
Yeah, that's very much a right away kind of adventure. It's like you just have to sing cocksucker.
I wonder if that's banned on TikTok.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Like if that would be...
Yeah.
If the Chinese don't like us talking about that.
Well, I mean, I have a nope. Maybe what we could do is we could do a syncable 45-second version of like kind of like the He-Man theme, but it's like cocksucker, cocksucker. You know, I don't know. What do you think about that idea? Oh God,
I love it. I had to get rid of the evil cat.
Oh, do you have more recordings of what kind of fresh aural AU?
No,
hell?
I was too tired to record it.
Oh my God.
But yeah, gave me a nice 4-hour night last night. It was great.
Oh wow. How are you?
Yes, but yeah, we need to stack vocal cocksuckers.
Yeah,
definitely.
stack vocal cocksucker is happening. That'll happen. There's what's the other one? Is Thunder Penis was another theme that was running through a band I was playing with the other night.
Wow, we are off to quite a start.
We are off quite to quite the start. It's actually on my reminders of things to do over the next few days.
Is that in the rundown?
It's not in the rundown. It's Kelsey, like, because she just got her head and her hands just miserable. So it says Thunder Penis 4-part harmony to the tune of Wonder Woman. In my...
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. Thunder Penis! You know, it's just, it's a thing. So today's podcast brought to you by Pfizer and Viagra. Jesus Christ.
Welcome to 2 Shots and a Royalty Check, brought to you by Venmo, Your Money, Your Move, and Liquid Death, Murder Your Thirst. Let's get back into it. This could be sponsored by Blue Chew.
Oh, I like
Absolutely.
that better. I like that better. I like that better. Considering
Which
that
we need to, I wonder if there's one for women, if there's a
Pink Chew?
I don't want to say the word, but thunder,
Well, your coffee tasted like it this morning, didn't it?
That's right.
Call
Did, always.
Call back to an early cast.
Sumatra.
Yeah, it's even sultry the way you say it.
I'm Terry Gross, and this is Sumatra Talk. Okay, Kelsey's just screaming through the glass. Please talk about TikTok. Yeah, we know you care about TikTok.
Yeah, she spends most of her time there. Yeah.
Does not have a profile, by the way. Does not follow us.
Just browsing.
On TikTok. I did get that.
Wow. I didn't know you could do that. You could not have a profile and still browse the talk.
Well, I think she has, burner accounts, basically.
Oh, okay.
So she's probably, whenever you get a like that says, well, she probably doesn't like anything because she doesn't really like anything. But it's probably user 20956 and it's got whatever like a monster for the head or something.
Oh, yeah, the classics.
For the profile picture. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. PFP, what's up?
So what is going on with the talks? Tell the children what is going on with the talks.
The House of Representatives in the U.S. just passed a bill to ostensibly ban TikTok. That is not actually what the bill says. It's basically a ticking time bomb for ByteDance, which is the parent company of TikTok out of China, out of the CCP, for them to divest TikTok and have a U.S. owner, basically.
Okay.
What's interesting is that, like, what isn't in that bill is like, okay, well, what if it's a French owner? What if it's a Swedish owner? What if Spotify wanted to buy TikTok?
Ooh, yeah.
That's a great idea, by the way. Spotify should buy TikTok if they could.
That's a whole other can of worms.
It is a whole new can of worms, but it sort of fans into some of the things we'll probably talk about today. But I saw one of my younger friends. She's Gen Z. She sent me a lovely text that was like, "I'm watching the House vote to ban TikTok on TikTok live."
Wow.
And if the Chinese government is trying to, censor bad things or change my mind about things, then they really suck at it.
Yeah.
That's basically what she texted me. And I have to agree. I agree. My experience with TikTok is completely maybe different than others. I don't know. Maybe it's the things that I'm interested in, my algorithm or whatever. But I see so much pro-democracy stuff on TikTok constantly and pro-freedom. Now, no, I don't see stuff about the Uyghurs. I don't see stuff that is anti-China. But, and so that's one of the things that they're saying. I also haven't seen any real hard evidence of what they're talking about, what the Congress is talking about with how TikTok is exactly the threat that they're saying it is. Gathering information and data on users is something that everything on the internet does.
Yes.
Always has. Your kids, when they're watching the iPad, your kids when they're playing a game. It doesn't matter about kids or adults or whatever. Yeah. It does have a lot more to do with focusing cookies and tracking and advertising and data, farming. But to what end? To what? Sell you shoes? You already buy shoes from China. To what end? To sell you hats and shirts? You already buy those from China. Yeah. Most of the people are wearing clothes that are manufactured in China. You're on a phone that is manufactured in China from a U.S. company, granted, Apple or whatever, But that's my thing, is to what end? So if they're doing like data scraping to basically try to push you in a direction about an election or something, if China wants a certain outcome in our election, well, Facebook did that in 2020. Yeah. And it's widely known that they did that they, cropped up more conservative media, cropped up more conservative video to change minds and to cause disinformation. Twitter is owned by, basically, lack of a better word, a fascist who has gone off the deep end, who is buying into American nationalism, which is mixed up with, Christian nationalism. And that is, but that's here. Like, it wasn't the Chinese that did January 6th. It was our people. Yeah. And it was one party. It wasn't, we don't need to be both sides about this. It's a very clear thing. The Republicans are on one side that don't want more people to vote, want to take away rights from women, have taken away rights from women. It's very clear. It's okay if that's what you believe that you want. They don't like immigration, don't like people other than Americans, as they term them, as they decide who an American is. Yeah. And so, not to be, and this is not political, right? This is the state of play right now. That is exactly what's happening. And so, I have not seen anything that tells me to what end China is doing this and how that would be the national security threat that you think it is. Now, if you work for the State Department, right, or if you work for the CIA.
To be clear, we do not work for any of those.
We neither do or don't work for the State Department.
I can't say either way.
No. But like, if you work for something that has sensitive information and it's on your phone and the blah, 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 you probably shouldn't have any fucking social media on your phone. Right? And certainly none personal. Yeah. So that they can track you GPS wise on where you've been and, make connections to who you're meeting with and what about. I completely understand that. Federal government should outlaw it for federal workers, state governments. I completely get that. Yeah. But for, Stu Miller
To be
in South Denver or whatever. Like, so what?
To be fair,
it's going to affect your vote one way or the other.
I am an immigrant, so I mean, really.
I know, but you're a dual citizen, and oh my God, that's dangerous.
Oh yeah, I am a puddle of danger to the federal government.
You're a bi citizen.
When I want citizenship, I buy it.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
When I want citizenship, I buy it. What?
And so for those who don't understand, of course, I know you come to this podcast to understand these things.
Yeah.
But for those of you who don't understand this, the House passes this, then it goes to the Senate. It's probably not going to pass in the Senate because there are huge problems with basically stating that this is a TikTok ban. Like, it is a free speech issue, and saying that, like, you know, how do you actually do that, right? Like, when you get to the Senate level, you got to figure out budgetary stuff, right? So you figure out the budgetary stuff, and it's like, if this passes, what do we have to do? Well, it means that this clock starts ticking. Biden's going to sign it. And if they aren't divested by a certain day, then...
What?
Okay, here's what actually happens. Then they tell Apple and Google, you can no longer have TikTok on the store. Okay. Now you're restricting commerce. Now you're restricting companies that have nothing to do with this. From saying you can't have them on your mobile store. But you and I both have them. I have it. It's on my phone right now. Whoa, but you won't be able to update it. I don't give a fuck. I don't want updates. I have auto updates off. So how are you going to block it? Well, now you get into DNS and VPNs, and now you get into geofencing around America on whether an app works or not, under what authority, the government. Holy shit, that gets into big issues. Now you're into a lawsuit about free speech. Now you're into the U.S. government would literally have to spy on its citizens to stop it using from an app they say is spying on its citizens. And I don't see that happening. It will go to SCOTUS. It would take another year before that happens. Short story, you guys. This isn't going to happen. This is not going to happen. Mnuchin, who former Treasury Secretary, has put together a billionaire investor group to try to buy TikTok. The last group he put together with billionaires had a former head of Mossad in it. So yeah, like, I don't know. Is that good? I don't know. Do you guys want that? Because he's an American. So I don't see how it's going to happen. And by the way, ByteDance would never sell off TikTok to someone outright because they would get the algorithm. And by all accounts, the FYP of TikTok, the algorithm is better than any out there. It works quicker and faster and actually serves you what you want. So non-story. It's not going to happen, and we just spent however many minutes talking about it. But it's nice to scream about it.
It's another thing we can focus on while other things are being destroyed on the other side. I don't have an opinion on things. It's a distraction. There seems like there's several distractions regarding the entertainment industry right now. There was what's the conversation about the 1 cent per stream? You want to jump into that fucker?
Oh my God. The Living Wage Musicians Act.
Oh my God.
I think is what it's called.
I didn't know that's what it was called. That's hilarious.
And basically there is an act that is, let's see, the Living Wage for Musicians Act. Is what it's actually called. And I'm trying to find the person, the congressional representative. It's Rashida Tlaib and Jamal Bowman are the ones that are proposing it.
Okay.
And it's been put before the House. And it's basically, the headline is, it's to pay artists 1 cent per stream. And the payment system is going to be called the Artist Compensation Royalty Fund. Which is actually in concert with the United Musicians and Allied Workers Union, which are talking about economic justice and fairness in streaming. And isn't that all fine and well? And you should do that. They're basically trying to get whatever monthly streams would equal a $15 an hour job. That's what they're trying to do.
Some people don't do that much work, though.
I've looked at the bill. And it is dead on arrival. It's, first of all, I will scream until I'm hoarse about it. Streamers do not pay artists.
Hallelujah, holy shit, where's the Tylenol?
In fact, there's no way to do it.
Yeah.
And this has to do with major labels, right? Okay, so just so everybody knows.
Reminder.
Streamers pay rights holders, and they pay two sides of rights holders, right? They pay the recording owner, and they also pay the publishing owner. Now, in the publishing side, they also pay the MLC, and they also pay PROs to pay for the performance royalty side. On the rights holder side for the master thing, it's basically distribution. If you have a distributor, it goes to them, and that's a pass through to the label owner, to whoever owns the recording. However, for you and I, great, we could probably just tick a button and it would go to Stu Miller.
Yeah.
That's fine. Instead of your LLC.
Yeah.
All right. That would fuck you tax-wise.
Oh, yeah.
First of all. So
Absolutely.
number one, it becomes income instead of business income. It becomes a problem.
Yes.
It's a bigger problem than you think. But if you're Beyonce or Taylor Swift, right now your label, Universal or Sony, gets paid, and then whatever your deal is with your label, if you get, like most of the younger bands, you're going to get somewhere between 13 and 18% after net revenue of that. In their cases, it's probably closer to 50%, whatever it is for them. But that gets paid out in a certain way under a deal that's been signed for many years based on deliverables. There is no way. Beyonce doesn't have an account on Spotify or Apple. She does, or whatever, because they're directly distributed from Universal or Sony. Taylor Swift doesn't get direct money from it. And so this would upend for major label artists. There's just no way to do it. And you would also cause this like huge security risk.
Yep.
So like if Spotify can actually pay Taylor Swift's bank account, holy shit.
Yeah.
How many hackers do you think would go after that?
Yeah.
Just to get that information, or even write a check to her personally.
Yeah.
Which is what it would have to be. So anyway, look, best intentions. They want it to be a cent per stream.
Yeah.
They want a price range, a price lift on all streamers to account for this, and it would be put into a separate direct artist royalty pool.
Wait a second.
Yeah, just so everybody is clear, right now you get the equivalent of 0.003 to 0.004 per stream, but that is not the way it works. Right, that's only after all of the math is worked out. It's money goes in from everyone's revenue, goes into Spotify or Apple, whatever, right? And then the streams that are played for that rights holder are determined basically by the region, the territory, how much money those people pay for Spotify, and then that is user-centric, put into a royalty pool.
Oh, look.
That royalty pool is anyway. I see all of you falling asleep, but it can't work. It can work if you start a streamer like this. But this is not the way it works. I know they're just trying to make it fair. And I know I see so many of these musicians that are all about like fairness and all of that. And and it's not a fair industry.
It's not.
Go find one.
Yeah.
Go find one. Yeah. Go sell cars. Is that fair? Are lawyers fair? Do you think the same guy that does personal injury stuff is the same that gets paid for like corporate oil and gas? No, it's not fair. But it's never gonna be fair. It needs to be better. We can make it better.
Yeah.
But like to do this like sort of fairness technique, and especially when Congress gets involved, Jesus Christ. And so basically, I mean, I had to, as part of this meeting, have to be like, tell me you don't know how the music industry works without telling me, because they don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
And I can tell it every single time when they say pay artists.
Yeah.
I can tell it every single time. Music gurus do it. Billboard magazine writes that fucking sentence all the time. And I have to scream about it. I'm like, God, it's very simple, you guys. But anyway.
You guys.
So no, that's not going to happen.
Seems like Congress is wading into a lot of shit they don't know anything about again. I mean, I understand the intention is there to But my question is why are the eyeballs on the music industry with regards to this stuff and not on something like, I don't know, a meat workers union?
Yeah.
Why is it pointed
Chicken
this direction?
production.
I've got a baguette in the fridge that I started having this morning for my breakfast, and it says bioengineered items baked into your bread. Why are we not?
It says that?
It says it on the fucking bag. Yeah, uses bioengineered.
Such as?
I don't
What's
know.
a bioengineered
I have
item?
no idea. It's bread. Anyway,
Yeah.
But this, why are we looking at entertainment right now? Is it because we don't know what else to do, or is it just that people, especially, I understand the intent is there to, there's a whole fuckload of my constituents who are going to be voting for me in a little bit of time who work in this particular industry, and I see them all the time, and I'm going to be a champion for the artists or whatever it ends up being. But why? What is it that this person knows or thinks they know about this industry? Why isn't somebody calling you and going, hey, I have a question for you. I want to write a bill to take to the floor, and I want to see about how we can do better in the music industry. Why is nobody talking to an expert about this shit?
Well, they have, and I have given them the answer.
They just don't like your answer.
No, they don't, because it's not profit oriented.
You fucking hippie.
And but this is literally the problem. I will give you the answer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you the whole thing because I am still working on solving this. But here's number one. The RIAA did a report, I think it was last year, or I think it was last quarter last year. Mm-hmm. But the music industry creates $170 billion in value annually.
That's a
in
chunk.
the US
That's a chunk
for
of money.
GDP.
Yeah.
It supports 2.5 million jobs.
Yep.
That's fairly significant. So when you wonder why Congress gets involved, it is an industry.
Yes.
It does matter. And when there are enough union workers or interested parties that get involved in making their voice heard to a congressperson, otherwise known as lobbying, then
Dirty.
it starts making some waves, right?
Yeah.
And in each one of these places, the House representative that is for this, or the people that are involved in this, they have constituents who are in the music industry, or have been displaced by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a greater issue here that the music industry is actually being shrunk in certain sectors because of streaming. And it would unleash more of a value in economic impact within these districts, within the state, within the country, if we had a more fairer system of paying out on streaming. So it starts with that. It is a money thing, right? It starts with money, economics, jobs, growth, blah, 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 America. So that's how it starts for them.
Yeah.
For me, it starts with profit motive. Who is making the money off of how music is being undervalued? And that is, to me, the issue. So it's not that music doesn't make money. Just ask Daniel Ek.
Yeah.
Dude's multi-billionaire. And same with Apple. Apple has more cash on hand than nearly every company in the world. And they are one of the top owners of streamers. The other one, Amazon, one of the top owners of streamers. And so the money is there. There is money. And, Sony and Universal. The problem is it becomes so convoluted because it's mixed up into corporate profits, right? So, Apple doesn't even report Apple Music because it's just nowhere near what their hardware and software does.
Yeah.
It's just like a loss leader for them. They're just like, yeah, if you got an Apple product, use our music thing so you can get your podcast too.
Yeah.
But, because Tidal, Deezer, none of those are in this fucking conversation.
Yeah.
Not for real. Not for real.
Yeah.
And SoundCloud, they're not really in the conversation. And Bandcamp, they're not really in the conversation. These are all streamers, by the way. And even though Bandcamp is supposed to be doing more physical stuff. But so the problem with all of it is that the profit is going to the gatekeepers instead of the rights holders and creators. And again, this has been a devil's bargain with the labels.
Yeah.
Able to give part of that up to the platforms rather than keep it for themselves and distribute it through their artists and producers and songwriters, whether you're a publisher or a label. Otherwise there would be so much more money happening in the music industry. And that means that, rising tides lifts all boats, that sort of thing. That means there'd be more independents making a lot more money.
Yeah.
Maybe not a full living, but it may be where there would be. Look, the numbers that I'm working with is there is room for about 5,000 more professional artists, musician, bands, however you want to call it. If it's you in your bedroom or if it's you in a 4-piece band or whatever, there's room for about 5,000 more to make a real living. And that I consider about 60,000 per person per year, a real living, a little savings, a little vacation, send your kid to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're driving a Hyundai, not a Tesla, but whatever. Yeah. It's fine. And there is enough room for probably another 5,000 on top of that to make good part-time money, about 2,000 a month. And so, and that's what would really unleash the whole thing. Now, it would also take money from majors.
Yeah.
But they would make more money if you took out the profit motive in it. But anyway, that's where it's coming from. And I have talked to some of these people as part of the magazine, as part of interviews and things like that. I got to tell you, I will just be completely honest with you.
Uh-oh. St. James alert.
From music tech to Congress, even the MMA that happened, the Music Modernization Act.
Yeah.
Nearly every single party I talk to does not understand how the music industry literally works right now. Literally every one of them. From someone doing an app that's using AI to create music to someone that was trying to come up with a new, crypto thing on how music is supposed to happen. They all think of how it should be, how they want it to be, but not how it actually works. They forget about publishing.
Oh, God.
Half of them think that mostly just all music is recordings. They don't think about publishing. They don't think about co-writers. They don't think about admin.
Yeah.
They have no fucking idea about like the MLC and how that actually works. Yeah. Almost none of them understand how sound exchange works and the difference between interactive and non-interactive. Like that blows people's minds when you tell some people about the difference between Pandora and Spotify.
Yeah.
Well, Pandora is probably a bad example, but iHeartRadio, let's say. But because that's a lawsuit that's going on. But and the other thing is that I know that people that are listening to this, there are some that are rolling their eyes going, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I get it. It can be confusing. But there are professionals who are paid to understand this shit.
Yeah. You don't have to do everything yourself. In fact, that should be the goal of every I'm sorry, I hate the word should, but the goal of if you're growing a music business should be to build a team to fill in the gaps where you are lacking that knowledge. It's just part of it.
Sure. But it happens all the time. Like we have this in the rundown that Rick Beato just had a video out that said he was like, how much do you get paid for 1 billion streams?
Yeah, he said 1 million.
He just woke up and wanted to figure out how much it was. And he talked to a very high person in a very
Were you that
company.
Very high person?
No, it was not me.
Carry on.
It was not me. I don't know Rick. I wish I did.
Yeah,
he's
amazing.
I bow at his musician feet.
Yeah.
He is an incredible musician. If you don't know who he is, go look him up. He's on YouTube. Buy his program. Learn how to listen to music better. But the answer was this guy told him basically $1 million is how much 1 billion streams makes. And that's great. That is not true.
Nope. No, it's not.
It's not right.
No.
And this is Rick Beato, who knows like a shitload of things, and he knows a shitload of people who are very plugged into the music. Like he's a major producer. He's sold millions.
Yeah.
He's been he knows what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah.
But even he gets this wrong. And so I'll just clear it up for you really quick. The guy that he was talking to him about publishing. Because if he's saying $1 million for 1 billion streams, that is roughly correct for how much money a song makes on publishing. And by the way, in his video, he goes on to talk about a publisher and 4 songwriters and what the splits are. And he talks about the splits when he was a songwriter and all that. That's great, but that's not how much a song makes on the streaming, right?
Yeah.
And you have to look about it like through YouTube and Spotify, all of the streams and everything. So the guy that he was talking to was talking about publishing, and there are multiple royalties involved in publishing: digital mechanical, digital performance. This is one of the things where it goes to the MLC, it goes to ASCAP and BMI, and then from there, there's some magical math that happens when you get your money 3 quarters later.
Magical math.
Well, it is. You
magical.
should see the model of the math they use. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. I'm just saying, John Mayer makes different digital performance money than you or I do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that happens with what weight the song has in hits and how long. Yeah, it used to be more based on a formula of radio and stuff, but it's still there.
Yeah.
But that for just those two, yes, 1 billion streams would be $1 million. But if you add in the recording side, and this is crucially important, I'm not saying it's enough money, I'm not saying it's the right amount of money, but if you add in the recording side, which is basically 0.004, okay, per stream is what it ends up being, your effective stream rate. And that's averaging out Apple and Amazon, which pays more, and YouTube pays less, and all of that kind of stuff. But you're basically getting another 4 million for that 1 billion streams. So he's off by a factor of 4.
Yeah.
That means basically 1 billion streams pays out roughly $5 million across the board. Right? That's recording side, publishing side, and all the rest of it. And there's actually probably a little bit more money on that. Yeah. But that's a good number to stick with. It's basically that. But his grander point in the video stands is that there is no book to go to. It's hard to ascertain. If I have a simple question and say, I have 1 billion streams, how much money should I expect to make? Yeah. There is no one answer. It depends on your followers, where those streams happen. Yeah. If they're overseas, what territory. It depends on a bunch of shit. But the point is that he was off. He was wrong. He's wrong. Yeah. He's wrong. I love him, but he's wrong, and way wrong. Yeah. So, I mean, if you were to go, oh my God, 1 billion streams is only worth $1 million. Well, this is what leads congressional people to go, holy shit, we got to get involved in this. I'll start writing it. Okay.
I want to know who that congressperson is right now.
Rashid Tlaib. Yeah, I just told you. But
no, the voice you were doing.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a congressional aide that's talking.
Oh, gee whiz, guys. Oh, gee, we've got to get involved in this. There's something wrong with this industry.
But if I were to tell you, it's 5 times higher than that. Yeah. It's actually $5 million for 1 billion streams. You'd be like, oh, well, that's a lot better than I thought, isn't it? Yeah. It is a lot better than you thought.
That is 80%.
There is money in streaming. It's just people don't know math anymore, I don't think.
There is, but it's understanding that there's all of this different, there's all these different pieces to it. Which is what you're saying, because like everybody's going. It's the same reason that people think that streamers pay, songwriters, that streamers pay for the song and all that kind of stuff. It's
pay artists.
Yeah. I misspoke. I apologize. I'm making this worse. I've decided that my role on this podcast is to pretend to be the idiot at the back of the room who hasn't been paying attention all semester and is trying to cram for the final.
I like it.
No. Sometimes I'm an idiot. And you explain things better than I do when it comes to this stuff. I understand it, and I also put in all the work. Like, at least once a month there's a day of spreadsheet housekeeping around here with regards to maintaining all of the smaller streams that come in with that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what it is we do. And I'd like to point out that we are 35 minutes into this podcast, and we've already spoken a lot about music business, which is why everybody checked out about 20 minutes ago.
Cocksuckers!
So yeah, we had to get back to it. But
Should we talk about cats or weather?
yes, yeah. We haven't even talked about the fucking, murder storm that we're currently sitting under, which is not that bad, but whatever.
By the way, Kelsey is just sitting there with her face in her hands.
She's like,
Just so happy that we're talking about TikTok and Spotify and all these things.
she's like, where were these assholes when I wasn't here?
We've nailed 3 things on the rundown,
Yeah.
girl. What's up?
Yeah. Yep. So that's very good. Oh God, I can't. It's funny to watch. It's like watching. It's like watching an amateur pottery class, watching Congress try to wade into various things.
And it's no different. I think that music. The industry changes constantly.
Yeah, of
right.
course.
Like the way that payouts happen. Like even if you just look at YouTube, okay,
Yeah.
YouTube is just so fucking interesting.
Yeah.
For music, because like YouTube treats your music video different than it treats your album video, different than it treats the music played on
Yeah.
YouTube music, different than it treats a user uploading a video with your song in it versus what the ad played before that is and how much money
Yeah.
that means. You're 45% of that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And again, I've been quoted. I was quoted in, I don't know, Esquire. So I was quoted in an article about this like a year or 2 ago that was basically, if I wanted to design a system that confused and obfuscated the truth from every musician,
Yeah.
this is exactly how I would have created it. Multiple entities, the MMA, the MLC, Sound Exchange, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and everyone's like, I don't understand what all of those words mean.
Yeah.
If I were to say, okay, well, streaming is going to be this, and then go, except for, and there's a big fucking asterisk. Well, it kind of matters where someone listens to, whether they pay premium, whether they're on a freemium thing, whether there's an ad
Yeah.
against it, whether they listen to 2 minutes of it, and you could just go down the list on all of these.
Yeah.
And by the way, it wasn't that different back in album days. It was kind of the same thing where you had a wholesale price and then you had the retail price. And you didn't necessarily get the whole wholesale price either.
Yeah.
There would be breakage that was added
Yeah.
in. It would be first week sales were different than 20th week sales.
Yeah.
Like there was some shit going on. The kickbacks into producers who had points on the A&R side that came out of your gross revenue that made your net revenue that you got your percentage from. It just it's always been convoluted and confusing,
Yeah.
but it's also not impossible.
Yeah.
It's not impossible to understand. And that's for those of you who are still here listening to this, you are probably going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quote unquote in the industry because this is it.
Yeah.
This is it, you guys.
This is how you make money.
It's not cocaine in the bathroom and strippers afterwards. This is actually it.
Yeah.
You do all that, but you better fucking be here for this conversation or you're going to go broke by 30.
Yeah.
Or you're going to sign a bad deal and lose your masters.
Yeah.
Or you're going to give up your publishing on a 360 deal and you're going to lose it. You're going to forget why.
Yeah.
But some of you that are listening right now are going to be like, "Oh, okay, so it's the minutia."
Yeah.
All the money is made in the margins.
Everybody thinks it's about the product itself. It's about like, do I get to create the art I want to create, and do I get to, am I going to get to go into a big fancy studio, and am I going to get to write the songs and have the voice I want to have? And nobody's paying attention to what happens once you've made that piece of art. Like what's going to happen with it? Because essentially you do lose a certain degree in a record deal or anything like that. You do lose a degree of freedom of your freedom because you are now part of a machine that is the whole job of that machine is to make money, and you get some of that money and they get more of it. But they also have an infrastructure in place that will confuse the fuck out of you.
And that's not a bad thing,
No.
by the way. The reason to make more money, and we talk about this when we consult people, I know I've said it in the last few consults I've done, is the reason I'm concerned about you making money on a release is so you can do it again.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? The reason why this needs to make money is so you can use that money to record and rinse the cycle and go again.
Exactly.
It has to be a sustainable business, you know.
Yeah.
And so this brings us to a good question, our question of the week, which is, are Kickstarters dead? Remember Kickstarters?
I do. I actually just did
Remember?
I did Kickstarter. I've done an Indiegogo. I've done a variety. I've done Patreons. I've done a variety of ways of fundraising for artists.
Kickstarters!
Kicksuckers! Wait, that's not it.
So I have a good friend, a longtime musician. I'm not going to mention their name.
Why?
But they just launched a Kickstarter.
Okay.
And they have built a fan base. The last time they did an album was about, I think, 4 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
There have been a few examples of people doing Kickstarters recently. Mary Spender, famous YouTube guitarist and songwriter from the UK. She just did a very successful one.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to go down the whole list of what the fuck a Kickstarter is. If you don't know that, you're in the wrong place.
The fuck out of my store.
But basically, a Kickstarter is basically to get funding to finish an album, to release an album, by offering rewards for money that is pledged. And it's an all or nothing platform. So if you need $5,000 to finish your song and release it or whatever, if you don't get enough pledges for $5,000, no one pays.
Yeah.
You don't get any of that money, and you don't give out the rewards. And those rewards can be anything from like a signed CD to a personal Zoom call to, you know,
Private concert.
a songwriting lesson, producing you a song, handwritten lyrics, getting breakfast with the artist. There's a bunch of ways that you can do it. And you can Google how to do a better Kickstarter. There are plenty of, you can Google my articles on it. I've written a few of them.
Yeah.
But I thought what's really instructive about this is that everyone's concerned about how to release an album. And too often we have artists come to us after they've done recording. More so now, you're getting people in the recording process, so you're able to talk to them before that. Huge mistake happens. Where they've blown their entire wad on recording. And then they're like, what can I do with sweat equity?
With $6 and a pack of gum.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing. Pray. You can pray. Do you believe in God? You can pray to go viral. Get on TikTok while you can. But so to answer the question, I'm going to answer the question.
Yes.
Kickstarters are not dead, but it is the same thing as we're talking about in other areas. You must build your fan base and own them. And yeah, maybe on social media, maybe on an email list. It'd be best if you can get a hold of them personally.
Yes.
But just random people happening across your Kickstarter and throwing $10 on it or for a pre-ordered CD. No, that's not happening. None of that is happening. But can you raise a bunch of money if you have, like, say, 400 hardcore backers? You know, if you have 400 hardcore backers and you figure maybe the majority of them are just going to kind of get, you know, the pre-sale, whether there you have a CD player or not, they get the CD and then they can download the songs and they get like a secret song. So, you know, you're looking at like $20 per, you know, a few hundred people. Okay, well now we're talking about $4,000 or $5,000 there. And then you're looking at like maybe 1/3 of them are going to be kind of heavy influencers. They love your shit. They have both of your last albums. They've seen you live, and they would love to meet you. And so they may throw in for like $100 to go to breakfast or to do a Zoom call or to get handwritten lyrics, something for their little archive, right? And then there's maybe like a 5% in there of people who may go above that $100 level. And that may be like, you know, huge longtime fans or your uncle or, you know, something like that. Who may go into that. Here's the thing. Kickstarters used to be like $5 or $10 grand. Right? My friend just launched one.
25.
And they're indie.
25.
30.
30, okay. But that makes sense.
30.
That makes sense.
30 grand makes sense. And this is why I wanted to break it down. I think this is so instructive because they put what this is for.
Yeah.
They did the album, right? The album is done.
Yeah.
I think it's probably in mix or mastering now. So the way they talk about it is saying, help me finish this and launch it.
Yeah.
So this is basically a pre-order thing for like later on in the year. But so I just want you to know, like, here's the cost to make and release an album from an indie artist these days. And these are real numbers. So when you ask us how much does it cost and why and what's the numbers, I'm going to give them to you right the fuck now. This is in real time.
Yep.
Okay. Making of the record, studio cost, studio musicians, producer, mixing and mastering, $20,000.
Yep.
That's super fair.
How many songs?
Well, it's probably 10, I would think.
Yeah.
That's super fair.
That
Less
is-
backing musicians. It's a little bit under, I think.
I think so too.
But $1,000 a song.
Yeah.
You're probably thinking 300 to 500 producer fee, 500 mixing, mastering into that. Studio cost is probably on, a little bit under on that. They probably have some studio connects.
Yeah.
So 20 to 25 is probably about right. Album photography and artwork design, 2,000.
Yep.
Okay. Then that would be like a big run of pictures and design of the album covers, but pictures you can use all over social media, all over, probably partially for the Kickstarter too. Print and produce the physical CD. So 2,500.
Yeah.
That's only 1,000 CDs.
Yeah.
So
Let's-
just so you know, that's a reasonable amount to start with.
Yeah. I think so.
If you have a fan base.
Yeah.
To not have too many in your closet. Print and produce the physical vinyl.
Yeah.
Sorry, drummers.
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of CDs in your closet.
Why you got to go after the drummers?
I know my former drummer has a bunch of our CDs.
I had a bunch until probably about a year ago, and then I believe now they're all at whatever the fucking used CD stores. They're like, why do you have 50 of this one fucking record by this band? I don't know, man. I just found them in a dumpster.
I just moved a box down to the studio of
wow.
CDs. I was like, why am I doing this? But I'm doing it. Print and produce the physical vinyl. 5,500.
Ooh, how many vinyls are they producing? Probably.
I don't know, but it's not 1,000 probably.
No.
That's probably closer to 100 to 250, I would think. Somewhere around there. That may not be right. It's probably $10 print. Like if you got a good deal on it, it would be probably about $10 per. So maybe 500, maybe 300.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Just curious on the data.
Yeah, curious on that. But, hey, you want to have that vinyl.
Yeah. It's part of the game now.
Digital marketing. Now, this is going to be
Under the budget.
wrapped up into ads, Instagram ads, Facebook Meta ads, TikToks, Reels, probably all that stuff. $9,000. So keep in mind, $20,000 to record it, $9,000 for marketing, for digital marketing.
Almost 50% of the recording
That's
budget.
a number I like.
Yeah. Almost 50% of the recording budget. Yeah.
It's a number I like, 50%.
Yeah.
But add to that digital distribution and promotion, $8,000.
Ooh, okay.
8,000. So that's kind of wrapped into the digital marketing, in my opinion. But when they talk about digital distribution and promotions, that 8,000 sounds like it's going to be kind of more of like a radio campaign.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Actually reaching out to press, things like that.
This is over $30,000 though.
Well, hold on. We're not done.
Okay.
Publicist, $3,000 a month.
Whoa.
That is the right number.
That is the right number, yeah. Is this
This person-
is this a person you think's worth spending the money on a publicist at this point in their career?
Yes, they tour nationally and internationally.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
And in
that makes sense.
And in that case,
If you
it makes
if you don't
sense
have a
because you
national
can't-
audience, don't do that.
Yeah, if you can't reach all those people,
don't do
and if you haven't done it before, this means they're going to go touch that again and again, and so that's when you want someone to go like. this person has probably expanded that market a little bit already.
Yeah.
Like they already get booked. They've opened for some big artists and that sort of thing. So you do want a publicist at that point to expand you in those markets that you've already touched and built. You've put a foundation, and you want them to expand you.
Probably following up in those markets in small theaters.
Radio and online promotion.
Yeah.
5,000.
Okay. All right.
So that's probably a AAA campaign. That's 5,000 is that'll probably do 2 singles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roughly 2 singles if that's wrapped into digital distribution and promotions. And then video creation.
Ooh.
Which
curious about that number.
You could have just crossed this one off. But yeah, $2,000 to $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 to 10.
There you go.
And so they are trying to raise 30,000.
Yeah. That sounds like that's the recording budget is already spent, and this is just to cover all of the follow-up expenses.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the entire
I believe so.
Yeah. The entirety of the budget that they're raising is being used to promote and publish. And promote.
I believe, and it's still they're still going to put quite a bit into it. I think they're just letting you know
this is what it is,
like what it really takes to launch independent. Like if you were to add this all up, that's 20, that's 5, that's 5, that's 30, that's 40, that's 48, that's 51, that is 56, and then 56,000 if you add in videos, which you shouldn't, but you're probably looking at 60 to 70.
Yep. That's what
they're listing here.
Yeah, and that was a no. I told a band recently that the recording cost would be, I think it was a 12-song record, would be 25 grand total, right? But they should have, and that was to do it at a nationally renowned studio. I was working a deal on that, so I had to get the lower.
Does that include producer?
That includes producer. And that includes all kinds of stuff like it includes, the expertise of that producer with regards to, all of the production stuff, but also the business side of things and blah, 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 blah. But there was a little bit of the producer was taking a little piece of the publishing and songwriting monies. So he's getting a couple points on it. But it was also then there was like, they were like, that's not too bad. I said, well, hold on. Did the same thing, but I didn't include some of the elements because this band does not need a publicist and they do not need to be spending the amount of money on certain items that they do because they're still trying to build into that, but they can still do quite a bit of damage on a budget of about 55. And they were like, oh my God, like they just never considered that's what they wanted to do. That because the expectation is like, oh, if you're a producer or if you're a band, like it's we're all in a drug den somewhere, and the guy who's hosting the heroin party just happens to have a couple of mics in the back, and we'll just make our record down here. And it's not the way it is anymore. Not if you want to compete and play the real game.
No. I think one of the hardest things now, most independent musicians that are listening to this right now be like, holy shit, like I don't have that much money. I'm not going to have that much money. Or like, so, okay, but I could still do 15.
Yeah.
Or I could do 10.
Yeah.
Could save up 4 members of a band could save up $2,500, $3,000. Maybe we could play a few more gigs, save up half of this year, and then we'll go in and do our record, right?
Yeah.
And you think that you should be able to get 1/3 or half of the traction that this artist is going to get for 1/3 or half of the money that they're going to spend. No. There is a basic level of spending you have to do in the music industry to make any noise at all, to get enough fans at all. So that you have any chance at all of breaking through to the next level. And that's the problem I run into so often is someone will come to me and say, well, okay, what's the pricing? We'll have all these long conversations. I'll give them the pricing. And they'll be like, okay, here's what I can do. Because most of my conversations go, what do you have?
Yeah.
I'll tailor something for what you have.
Yeah.
But if you come to me and you ask me, how much does it take?
Yeah.
That's a completely different answer.
Yeah.
And when I give you that number and you come back to me and go, well, this is what I'll spend,
Yeah.
and it's half of that number, I'm like, you're not going to make it. You might as well save up for another year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And get more fans, by the way, while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, the money alone doesn't do it. You have to have all of these parts. Great produced music, good fan base to keep your launch like at
Yeah.
a basic level.
Yeah.
And then you have to have partnerships and expertise to add into that,
team.
people that will work for you. And those people cost money. They just do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're talking about opening your cookie store.
Yeah.
Putting in the recipes, making the cookies, buying the building, getting parking, putting up signage and all that. From day one,
Yeah.
you're already in
Yeah.
for a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Now you got to spend the money to get people to buy your cookies. So,
Same thing.
But I will tell you, so this person, I think the reason why they set it at 30 is that they think they can get 30.
Yeah.
Because if they set it at 50
Yeah.
and they can't reach that goal, then you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
So if they're willing to put in their 30 and they want the fans to put in 30
Yeah.
and they think they can get to 30, that's the number that they're setting their Kickstarter at so that
Gotcha.
they can do that. By the way, 27 days to go. They're already over 15 grand.
Wow.
They're already half.
All right.
Half in.
Okay.
And that's with about 100 backers.
Can I ask
So just give you those numbers. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's with 100 fans
that's an average of
have put up about 15 grand of the 30,000 you need to launch this.
Yeah.
So if you have 400 or 500 fans and you can think that maybe half of them are maybe really engaged in what you're going to
Yeah.
do. And by the way, the majority of those are just going to be give me the CD and give me the download. And, there's not going to be a whole lot of the, make breakfast for me and do all the weird shit.
The question I have, and this is the thing I've dealt with is, especially if you have a robust email list and a direct line of contact to your fan base, why would you not make a VIP Kickstarter that's just for your email list that says, I'm going to give you access to these benefits and these options before I make my Kickstarter or my Indiegogo live?
I will say that it's mostly because of the escrow issue. So how the money actually works. So when you back a project, that money is basically held. And so it's the difference between like putting money into a pot that gets triggered at some point if everything goes through and all the terms are met, or calling up a PBS station and going and drunk on Tuesday night going, I'll give you $150 because I love this show, and then hanging up the phone and they say, oh, that was a pledge for $150. Well, but is it? Did you show me a credit card?
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Kickstarter is that there is a sense of security that comes with somebody pledging, going, okay, if they don't meet what they said they were going to do, I don't have to pay.
Yeah.
And there's something that says if I'm the artist or if I'm the Kickstartee, that if I meet my goals, I get that fucking money.
Yeah.
Like that money's going to come. I need that fucking money. But I don't have to go chasing after my fans on email and go, hey, you said you would give $200 and I would do a Zoom call with you.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, shit's changed. My brother has a wedding. So, I mean, that's why. That's why you wouldn't go. That's why you would be on Indiegogo or Kickstarter.
Gotcha.
And that's the glory of those platforms is that basically the escrow version of it. And also they take care of like the credit processing and, and how to balance the money and when the money gets transferred. And, and that is by the way, that is not insignificant.
No, it's not.
Like, just try to get $30,000 from somebody. It's difficult. So like figure that out. Like that's the glory of it.
I get it. I was curious. Again, I am the dumb kid in the back of the room cramming for a final now.
No. That's a good question. It's a good question. I mean, if you could come up with this yourself, you could create basically your own Kickstarter site.
Yeah.
But it would have to have all those terms and rules and a credit card processor and debit card processor and how that money actually gets held and moved back and forth.
And depending on like the state you live in, the fees change for that.
There is
and some of them
which is kind of built into a Kickstarter.
Yeah, some of them you can't. I know in Colorado you cannot say if you run this type of credit card, I'm going to charge you more money because the fees are higher.
Right.
Yeah. So,
right.
you know, there's a bunch of rules, and that's the nice thing about like these platforms. Again, like having a team, you can, you know, you don't have to worry about it. You just have to put together your fucking perks.
Yes. This is your fundraising team.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a brand that most people kind of know.
Mostly. Yeah.
And by the way, it's I'm looking at their site right now.
Yeah.
So it's searchable. So you get a little SEO action before the album even comes out. You get to talk about the title of the album. You get to talk about, you have a nice little place to put a video.
Yeah.
You can describe all of the rewards and do like a little video, a little picture, a little copy with everything there. So it's also a way for you to kind of get your personality out. To maybe even a casual fan that's like, hey, I saw this person play a show like earlier last year at a festival or something. Like, I'm kind of interested. And as they get into it, they can see the video and how excited they are about the production and hear a little sample of the music. So all of that is built in.
Yeah.
And it's also shareable.
And it's also really fucking
socials.
easy to build it in their platform. The templates are all there already for you to do just about everything you want to do. You don't have to design the infrastructure yourself. Do you have a preference between Indiegogo or Kickstarter, or which of the platforms? Kickstarter. Why so?
Yeah. They're more financially viable. I have worried for a long time about Indiegogo going down.
Okay. That's yours.
They're financially more stable. I also think it's prettier. I just think it's better. I know that Indiegogo charges less fees. You get more money at the end of it. Yeah. I think that's still the case, probably. But I think Kickstarter is just, it's the difference between Coke and RC Cola.
Well,
I would prefer, if you don't have Coke, I don't really want your RC Cola.
You don't like the Royal Crown Cola? What the fuck, man? You're
fuck RC Coke. Fuck RC Coke. How's that for a hot take?
By the way, I'd like to point out that if I was going to recommend somebody listen to an episode this about like how to music, this would be the one I would recommend they listen to, because it is all of the things that nobody's thinking about. I would agree, because everybody's going.
It's just all the shit I think about every day.
I agree. You and I think about this all the time. The other part is like when we were 20 and we were like, I'm in a band, we didn't think about this either. I don't think.
No.
And so it took a while. It took somebody older. It took probably a time traveling version of ourselves from the future to come back and go, listen up, kid. You're not paying attention to the right things, And
I think one of the things I'm really proud of with our podcast and with what we do is that one thing that always pissed me off when I was coming up is no one would give me the fucking number.
Oh, yeah.
What's the goddamn number?
Yeah.
How much is a sync? It's always, it's anywhere between $500 and $200,000, or like it was just always some fucking random, that's the way, it's a lawyer answer.
Yeah.
And while that's true, part of that is true, when we give you real numbers, this is a live Kickstarter. This is how much an album costs. This is what a recording costs. This is what marketing costs. Without us being shy about going, I know it's expensive.
Yeah.
If you work at a bar and you're an Uber driver and you're barely fucking making rent because it's 3 times your income, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
Yeah.
It's a lot. This is not an easy business and it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But I just wanted the fucking number. Give me the truth.
Well,
And I'll make my decisions from there.
Exactly. Well, I think a lot of people forget that you're an entrepreneur at this point in time. You are a business. You're starting a business here. And if you were starting if you're starting a construction company, it doesn't matter what business you're going into, there are startup costs. And every time
it's a great example. Like, there's an architect, right?
Yeah.
Someone that comes up with this beautiful building that is artistic and has reasons and changes people's lives and works with the environment. That is something on a piece of paper until the goddamn thing gets built.
Yeah.
That's where the money is.
Exactly.
That's where the risk is.
Yeah.
That's where all of the
absolutely.
stuff is.
Yeah.
And so this is just like being in music, is that like, yes, the music is important.
Of course.
Yes, writing the song and recording and being good at what you do, so important.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if no one hears it.
Yeah. Exactly.
It doesn't matter if no one wants to see you play it.
If you have a choice between, so you say you have a $40,000 budget and your record's going to cost $25,000, or you can actually decide, I'm going to spend less money on my recording and more money on my release campaign, or more money on my record and less money on my release campaign. I already know what your answer is going to be. Most artists I talk to, they have the opposite opinion on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about the
release campaign. It's all about getting it out there to people. So,
but I would say that also gets mixed in with, what something we talk about here on all the time is that, like, what this person is doing is a very traditional release. Mm-hmm. I've recorded a 10 to 12 song album. Yeah. I'm going to put it out to people and I'm going to tour on it. And, we'll see how it goes or whatever. And they're independent. And as they've even said, it's been 4 years since their last thing.
Yeah, it's a chunk of time. But they spent that time.
That's a lot of time.
They spent that time building a fan base, it sounds like.
And so, I mean, if you were to ask me if you had $25,000 to record something in a studio, I would say I would go down into the ditch with you and figure out how to get 20 songs out of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's not 20 full songs, by the way. A few really well recorded piano songs, a few cover songs, a few acoustic songs, as well as full production songs. And then also know how to mix those out into multiple recordings that could be released. Yeah. So not only the instrumentals, but different kinds of versions of those songs, remixes of those songs. Yeah. Now you're armed with 40 songs.
Yeah.
And you can use that major budget of release every 2.5, 3 months to really get this out in the right way. And you can still do an album release that way of the traditional 10 songs or whatever of what people want, but you have other shit on this side too to do, to utilize. You have more shit in your arsenal, but you can't do that looking back on it. Yeah. You have to do that before you sign the paperwork to go into a studio so that the producers, the band, everyone is on the same page. Yeah. While you're doing overdubs over here, hey, just set my UA7 over here, and I'm going to do a few run-throughs on everything acoustic and just singing.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do it that way and just let it run. Yeah. It doesn't have to be the perfect recording, the perfect production, but while you're there, use those tools. Yeah. Yes. But if you can't get buy-in with a producer early on that, you can't go back and go, hey, can you strip down everything and make this an acoustic song? No, not really. It's not that. It doesn't work that way.
I did that on a record a couple years ago, and there was a last-minute acoustic song that the band wanted to record, and we were so close to the end of the day that there just was not enough time to get the right version of this, and we still haven't done anything with it. So at some point in time, I'm going to figure out how to get it sorted, because they didn't really pay for it, but it was just like, you guys need to. This will take like an afternoon. It will not take that long to get this done, and just do a whole bunch of them like that. Did you see? I'm a big fan of.
Also, hold on. Before you go into that, I also want to say this to remind bands: before you go in, you want to make sure to get all of the session too, because later on, if you do blow up a little bit, or if a song blows up, it's so cool to hear the alternate takes.
Oh yeah.
So you have extra content, you have extra stuff, but you have to talk to the engineers beforehand. Yep. Mm-hmm. And that may be an extra few $100 or something to make sure you get all of the session files. Yeah. Because you don't know how to use those usually, probably. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to, figure that out. But if you have them, you can then go back to the producer and say, hey, I want to output a version of the fourth vocal take here, just for funsies. This isn't what we're releasing, but this will be something I'm going to do a video to. By the way, you should have video in the studio.
Oh yeah,
but anyway.
Get all that stuff. Yeah, but again, this is all about what happens before you go anywhere with this recording. The thing I was going to say was, I noticed with the new Beyonce single with Texas Hold'em that if you go to any of the platforms and you look up the single for Texas Hold'em, you get the single itself, the instrumental and the acapella are available. Because
absolutely
but as part of the single, instead of just being like for me and for everybody that I've been working with, it's just been a thing we keep in a folder somewhere just in case, but this is been it's up. You can download it right now. You can go listen to the instrument, and the acapella on that is fucking spectacular. The vocal production on that track is amazing. So you want to have yourself
other versions.
Yep, other versions.
I also let me just okay. I'm going to St. James something.
Go.
Acapella is not one word.
I agree. It's a cappella.
And I hate how because of other versions, streamers they've given up the ghost. It's just acapella.
Yep.
Is one word, just like instrumental.
Mm-hmm. Are we starting our...
It's a capital A capella.
Yeah.
And it just sucks that we've lost that. We've lost that in English. It's over. It's acapella. Just go look up that Beyonce song. You'll see what I'm saying. Other versions, instrumental, acapella is one word.
Yeah, and I think that it's just like it's okay. That's St. James. St. James. It's been St. Jamesed. Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry about that.
No.
All right, let's move on.
Sync.
Let's go sync of the week. Would you like to go first? Because Jesus Christ, I've talked this whole goddamn time. I'm sorry.
No. I love. I've thrown my 2 cents in there.
No one cares. No one wants to hear me all this time.
I want to hear. I care. First of all, I would like to compliment you on a delightful rant today on all of this. This was a lot of music business, and for I knew a bunch of it. I learned a lot, and I appreciate you.
Wow.
That's all I wanted to say.
That's what I'm looking for, is people that know something that want to learn something more.
Yeah. Well, it happens to me all the time, with sitting here. I'm like, that's a new little nugget. And, but I'm, you and I kind of work in two different places, so it's, a slightly, but for my sync of the week, I am extremely excited about the upcoming remake of Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal. And so Roadhouse. So I went down I watched.
I just hear it in Peter Griffin's voice.
Roadhouse. Roadhouse. So I watched the original, and let's
Stu, who's in the original?
Well, it is the Swayze,
for the kids that don't know,
Patrick Swayze, and he was a fucking stacked hot god of a man in that. Sam Elliott, Kelly, what the fuck is the name of the love interest? Fuck. But the real hero of that fucking, okay, hold on. Kelly Lynch. I apologize, everybody.
Kelly Lynch. Very nice.
Yes. You're welcome. It is a very much one of the first real grown-up films I remember watching. It's got your violence, it's got your sex, it's got your good guys, bad guys. I mean, it's very obvious who the good guy and who the bad guy is in this fucking thing. And it's got Sam Elliott playing Sam Elliott. But the real hero of this film for me is the great blind guitar player, Jeff Healey. And the Jeff Healey band.
I was hoping you were going to go there.
This is the direction I'm going. So I'm going to go ahead and say, there's confidence, man. There's all kinds of fucking great blues covers in this song, in this movie. And, you're paid to play, fucking beer bottle flying at the chicken wire. We've all played the bar behind the chicken wire. The chicken wire I played behind didn't stop a fucking beer bottle. I'll just say this. Whatever fucking chicken wire they got up at the fucking Roadhouse, that is a winning pile of chicken wire. The chicken, it disintegrated. They fart too close to it. It was done. All that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give all of the Jeff Healey performances in Roadhouse as my sync of the week. And it was Jimmy Iovine. It was the soup on that. I did not know this.
Really?
Yeah, I did not know that. But that was I fucking that music is. I mean, there's obviously there's a couple of Little Richard tunes and this, that, and the other thing in there, classic, soul tunes and stuff like that going on in the background. But the backdrop for that entire seedy little bar is fucking Jeff fucking Healey. And that was my first exposure to him as a guitar player, and tragically died way too fucking young. But what a brilliant fucking player, and a testament to differently able people being able to create fucking incredible music. A blind man playing guitar sitting in his lap. Fuck yeah, carry on. So that's my sync of the week is Roadhouse, the entire fucking Jeff Healey collection in there.
Kids, if you don't know of the Jeff Healey Band, the breakaway song was Angel Eyes. So go ahead and YouTube Jeff Healey Band, Angel Eyes. From that 1989, I think, 88, 89, somewhere around there.
I think it was right before the movie, wasn't it? Like they were
something like that.
So 88.
But yeah, amazing song, great song. Go listen to that. But yes, go look at all the stuff with the first Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And I would remind you, as someone who was a bouncer, that the most badass bouncer in the world at the time, when Roadhouse was made, Patrick Swayze, is being held up as the man.
Dalton, the cooler.
The cooler. He was 5'10", 165 pounds.
Yep. You just Googled that, didn't you?
I would kick his ass so hard.
Yeah, but he'd go for the throat.
But you always knew he was a badass because his shirt was tucked in.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You knew who the bad guys were because their shirts were out.
Yeah.
That was another thing you'll notice in that.
Oh,
well,
shit.
I mean, most of them
I
are
know
kind of
exactly what
fat
you're
and
talking about.
slovenly.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you watch it, you'll notice that.
Yeah.
But by the way, a very big leader in the black T-shirt club, Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse.
Roadhouse Blues.
That is a great
Thank
one.
you very much.
I'm going to listen to Angel Eyes today,
Yep.
too. I by the way, chicken wire.
Yeah.
There's probably some kids listening to this that do not know what the fuck that means.
Okay.
So in southern bars, I will just say mostly southern bars, but in basically the Chitlin circuit, there are some rowdy clubs where people drink a little too many Mickey's beers and they don't give a fuck about the band.
Yeah.
And they kind of fight for fun. They fight their cousins. It's like, Bill, get out of here. That's the last time you break a chair. Like, they're not going to jail. It's not a big deal. It's just like, you're done for the night.
Yeah.
But the bands, they started putting them behind chicken wire because people, if they didn't like the song and they got a little too much in them, they would start throwing shit at the band. Okay.
Yeah.
When I did a few tours in the South, and one of the ones where I did through Arkansas, I played part of the Chitlin circuit.
Yeah.
And it was just acoustic blues, basically, right?
Yeah.
And we played one of those bars that has, and it's not a bar, they're kind of like the Chitlin circuit. It's called that because you can get food there too. And so it's not just a bar, but they like have like a place that's food, and like some old black woman cooking in the back, making chitlins for everyone. We played this place, I played this with the band that was there. And we're playing like sort of blues songs and stuff, and I thought it was going pretty well. So beer bottles start hitting the wire. And the wire, like you said, it doesn't really stop anything.
No, it does not.
Like, this isn't like industrial chicken wire. It's literally the shit they pulled out from the backyard. But here's what you need to know if you ever play a chicken wire club, okay?
Yeah.
Food disperses through it. I had a po' boy all over my face and guitar.
Oh, shit.
That it seemed like it went through a ninja knife cutter into a bunch of hexagrams. Like, it came up and I saw it coming up, and then it just dispersed into like 20 pieces everywhere, all over everything. And the key to it, the only way you win if you're playing one of these clubs, is you have to keep playing.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only way to win. Otherwise, they will kick your ass in the parking lot. It's kind of a game.
Yeah.
It's kind of a game. It really is. Like, if you can play through it and get to the next song and maybe one more, it suddenly becomes like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're cool.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to let them live tonight.
Yeah. And then you have to make sure.
And then they start buying you beers and shit.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and you have to find a spot. Like, at what point does the lead singer get to go take a piss? It's like, okay, so that means the guitar player is going to be singing, "Do you really want to hurt me?" Don't sing that song.
Totally.
Do not sing that song at this
Do
bar.
not sing. No culture club on the Chitlin circuit. No culture club. I think it's on a sign everywhere. No culture club here. But yeah, I did play one of those places, and I knew what was coming. I thought, oh, this is funny. They're going to throw. Now it was beer cans. They didn't really have bottles.
Yeah.
They had cans because I was like, well, why are there just cans here? Well, you would find out real quickly why. Because everyone was throwing them. And it's kind of fun to be around. I know that you're different about this. I like a rowdy live show, and you're like, I think it should be respectful and a safe workplace.
I think it depends on the fucking
and OSHA.
I think it depends on the band. Like I've played in, you've seen some of the punk hard rock bands that I played with. There was a gig I did where I was the new guy in new guitar player in a band that I'd replaced a guy that was slightly beloved, shall we say? And this person, this gang of fucking people, stood at the front of the stage and flipped me off, like stood there, both middle fingers up. And at one point, and I had just enough Bud Light that I punted 3 beer cans across stage all over these people, fucking held a big cord and did this, just fucking stood right there and gave them the same thing. Johnny cashed the fuck out of them. So it depends on the band. Now, if I'm playing a show with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra, sit the fuck down and listen. But Chitlin Circuit clubs, I fucking played those. And that's a different experience. You're right, it's a game. I'm also playing a game of fucking dodgeball when it comes to snacks flying at the fucking chicken wire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is why old bluesmen had guns and shit. Yeah. Like, it's...
And that's not the size of their muscles. All right, that's enough ranting about Roadhouse, as much as I fucking love it.
All right, Roadhouse. Yeah. Well, my sync of the week is, boy, is it just like yours. I'm watching this horror sci-fi show on Apple TV called Constellation. Yes. By the way, this is me kidding. This is as far away from Roadhouse as you can get.
Is this the one with Noomi, what's her name?
Highbrow sci-fi thriller psychological horror.
Fuck yeah. That sounds amazing.
Constellation is the name of it. It's on Apple TV. And true to Apple TV, as I will say every time I see a show, you do not completely like anyone in it.
Fantastic.
It's a mind fuck. It will definitely watch it late at night.
Excellent.
Definitely have the lights off. Definitely have a few bowls of indica. It is mind-blowing. It is such a refreshingly new kind of show in a genre that is really kind of established now. This horror sci-fi thing, I think Spaceman with Adam Sandler is out right now. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of shit goes weird in space.
Yeah.
kind of things out there. That isn't alien based necessarily. Yeah. But this is, if you like some space shit, but you like some sort of horror thriller kind of stuff, if you just want to be challenged, this is a challenging show to watch. It really is. Okay. And I watch a lot of this kind of shit. And I was just mouth open, like, what the fuck was that? What just happened?
Nice.
There is a whole lot of those moments.
Fantastic. I love that.
It's just started. They didn't do a full drop. It's weekly.
Yeah. There's 2 episodes
you can catch
left
up
this season.
Yeah. So you can catch up. But it sets the tone. My sync is the opening theme song is called Tellur by Surrogate Sibling.
Oh.
And the opening theme song is in a different language. It's in a very odd time signature. It is trippy.
It's probably designed to kind of throw you off with the odd time signature a little bit.
It is.
Fantastic. I love it.
And I think it's an odd time signature. I can kind of count it in 4, but there are some areas where I'm like, I don't know. I think that's 6/8. But so there's, it's if you're into music, do listen to the opening theme. Yeah. It's haunting. You don't need to know the language to kind of feel what it's about. And those are some of the best foreign songs I love. When I hear those kind of songs, I'm like, ooh, there's something here. Surrogate Sibling is an experimental project by German composer Dieter Dolezal.
Okay.
Dieter. And it was started in 2014, and the music is presented, and I'm taking this just from their website, the intersection of modern electronics and contemporary chamber music. Which brings us back to, oh
my God. How dare you? Oh, St. James.
It has a little feel of that to it.
You know, if you like the Chieftains. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God. The whole time I was sitting there thinking, do I bring up Enigma or do I bring up Deep Forest?
Deep Forest, Delirium. Let's Enigma.
So yes, it is. It's got some of that in it, but it's really cool.
Fantastic.
The music soup is co-music supervisors, Jackie Westfall and Thomas Golubik.
Ooh.
Which we
mentioned before.
He's made a few appearances on this show.
Yeah. Fantastic.
But yeah, so that's Constellation on Apple TV. Highly recommended if you're into some weird shit.
Oh, I'm clearly into some weird shit.
Go check that out.
That's awesome. I'm still catching up on my stuff. So, as you see, I went back to watch Roadhouse. But yeah, this sounds like a fantastic show. I really like some of the Apple shows are just so fucking good. So
yeah. And by the way, it feels, if you're into Apple TV shit, it feels Apple TV. It feels weighty and artsy and also accessible. It's it's got European, it's got American in it, it's very international. But okay, I'll stop talking about it. But I think you should try it if you're into challenging TV and you want something that like fulfills you in a different way. This is it. This is the one to give it a shot.
Nice. I'm into it. I'm going to check it out.
All right, let's wrap this sucker up. Thank you for all your hard work, Kelsey. That was a great rundown and a really good episode, I think. You can check out StuMillerMusic.com wherever you check out your StuMillerMusic.com things.
Please do.
You can check out him to sign up for some classes, do a little songwriting session, have him produce a record, maybe mix a song that you've already done. Start off with that. Send a song that you've already recorded and have him do his magic on it, and boom. Now you know how good it can sound.
Exactly. Well said. Thank you.
And I think you'll do well with that. Yeah, and remember to rate and subscribe. Hey, by the way, just click right there, subscribe, and you can click the bell, and you can find out when all of our new episodes drop, which, by the way, is every Wednesday at 5 a.m. in the morning here in the Mountain Time Zone. Give us 5 stars over there on Apple Podcasts and leave us a nasty, deserted, hilarious, defamatory comment. Apple is not letting anything through. We've had no new reviews. They're not letting anything through. So I don't know if you guys are doing a great job or you suck at this. I don't know. But give us 5 stars anyway. And also, wherever you follow people online, you can follow us at 2ShotsMusicPod. That's the number 2, Shots Music Pod. And you can email us, 2ShotsMusicPod@gmail.com, 2ShotsMusicPod@gmail.com.
Gmail.
And that is all of the housekeeping. And until we speak to you next time, I hope you write a great song and get ready to do your Kickstarter.
Yep. Kick ass, everybody. Love you. Bye.
All right, everybody. Love you. Goodbye.
Cocksucker.
Cocksucker.
Bookends.